Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 6 of Kwik Shotz. Today we are going to be talking about OCD, so let's cut to it and cue that intro. OCD. What is it? Well, today on this podcast we're going to talk about what it is, the symptoms of it, the signs, and maybe a way to think of it as something good rather than something bad. I like finishing off every episode with a good sign rather than a bad. So yeah, let's get into it. So basically, OCD is defined by obsessive compulsive disorder. And basically what that is it's characterized by excessive orderliness, perfectionism, attention to details, and a need for control in relating to others. So let's figure this out real quick because that definition can be very misleading. So basically, OCD can be the fact that I'm obsessing over something. I want this to be exactly the way it is, and that's what it means by perfectionism. Because people with OCD think that they can control everything that they want. It needs to be this certain way or it's not right. And it's hard. It's something that's hard to get over because people obsess about things. And people with OCD have a tendency to be obsessed with this thing for so long that it takes over their brain. It's the only thing that they can think about. So some signs of OCD, sorry, I'm looking this up on my phone so I can give you exactly what it says from WebMD. Don't go on WebMD if you're sick, by the way, because it's going to tell you that you have some awful disease, even though you probably don't. But anyway, so some signs of OCD or symptoms of OCD can include checking a bunch of things. So maybe let's have this an example because it has this on here as well. So like locks, like did I lock my car door or did I close the drawer? People with OCD, even though that they could 100% guarantee that they closed that door or locked the car, they still like to go check it because if they don't, it's something that takes over their head and it's the only thing that they can think about. Something else is contamination, like germaphobes. Germophobia is a type of OCD because they fear things that are dirty even though it could be clean. Like if you're not washing your hands 24/7, they might have the thought to say, oh, I need to wash my hands again, even though it could literally be nothing. And it's part of the disorder. It's not their fault that they have to keep doing this, but it's just something that takes over their head, and until they do it, they can't think about anything else. So something else, another symptom of OCD would be symmetry and ordering. They need to have things lined up in a certain way. So what does that mean? If something isn't perfect, if something is like slightly off, it goes through their head and they don't like it. I know one of my cousins has OCD, and he would say, yeah, I like to count things. Like random things. Like he'd be walking up the stairs and he'd count how many stairs he's walking up. It's just random things that go through their head, and if it wasn't like an even number, he'd have to recount it or something along those lines because it just goes through her head. If it doesn't make sense and it's not symmetrical, they're unable to cope with it being that certain way. I know like this might sound weird and it might sound like these people are absolutely crazy, but it's a disorder. It's a disorder. It is a mental problem. People with OCD can obsess about things that they can't even control and obsess about things that they feel that might be right, even though they know it's right, and still check on it or still try and change it. It's something that goes through their head where they're unable to cope with the fact of that being it. If that made any sense, I hope that made sense. I felt like that made sense in my head. But anyway, let's go into a little bit something else. So, something else about OCD is another symptom of it is ruminations and intrusive thoughts, an obsession with a line of thought. Some of these thoughts might be violent or disturbing. They think about something over and over and over and over and over again, which is the definition of insanity. They become obsessed. It's like an infatuation rather than they just let it go. People with OCD think that, okay, I'm not going to take it for what it is, or I don't understand why this happens. Maybe if I keep thinking about it, it will change. It doesn't work like that. Life does not work like that. But people with OCD have a hard time figuring out why it is that certain way. And that's okay. I want to make this podcast mainly because I think people that don't have OCD don't understand it, and therefore when someone might be doing something stupid or they might be like lost in their thoughts or something, that other person can understand that person with OCD a little bit more. Not everyone has this mental disorder, so making podcasts like these help people understand and become more empathetic of that person with a disorder rather than making fun of them or bullying them or shooting a tweet at them or so whatever it may be. Don't understand. Don't judge. There's different. Be tolerant of that other person. Something else that I wanted to say is that OCD has, obviously it's a mental disorder, but I think that it can be considered like a superpower as well. I know I said it about anxiety, and I know that there's a huge myth around that people think it's a superpower, but let me tell you why it could be a superpower. So people with OCD like perfectionism. Take it if someone with OCD was a doctor. Like, I want that dude doing my surgery because I know that he's not going to be okay if it's not exactly the way it's going to be. No, it needs to be perfect. And that's what people with OCD do. They figure out how to make it perfect and keep working on it until it's perfect in the exact way that they want it to be. Like, another example would be why it's a superpower is that they need things done like a certain way and it needs to be exactly like this. If it's not, I need to keep working on it. Like imagine like an architect that is building a house, right? And they think that this is off by 3 inches, and since it's off by 3 inches, it's going to affect the rest of the structure or anything. I'm not an architect, but just bear with me. When they see that, they want to figure out why is it like that, and we need to fix it now before we do anything else, or it's not going to be right. Perfectionism goes along right with OCD, and that's a bad thing and a good thing. But if we're looking on it on the brighter side, that people with OCD have the ability to work on something until it's perfect or strives for perfection. I think I like that wording a little bit better rather than being perfect, because nothing's ever going to be perfect, but if you can keep working towards it, it's going to be closer to the way that they want it to be. Just to wrap things up, I hope that this was informative. Obsessive compulsion disorder, not only child disorder, which I thought OCD was for a while. That means I don't have it. I'm an only child. If you guys were interested, you probably don't care about that. But anyway, obsessive compulsive disorder is not something that should be laughed at. It should be understood, tolerated, because they can't control that. Don't make fun of something. Don't make fun of someone because of something they can't control, or don't make that quick judgment before you really know the full side of the story. And again, if you have symptoms, I hope this was informative to say like, oh, maybe what I have has a name. Or maybe, I think I said that about anxiety too, like that you're not alone. There's, I think, what was the number I saw? 200,000 U.S. cases per year. Like, you're not alone out there. There's other people with it. I hope this was informative. If someone has OCD out there that maybe didn't know it, maybe this brought it to light, and now you don't feel as alone out there. This will bring you together and put it in perspective more. Also, OCD might be a superpower. If you guys listen to what I was just saying about how they can strive for perfectionism, they can figure things out a little bit better, and Honestly, they want it to be more things to be perfect. Guys, I hope this was informative. I hope that you guys can understand OCD a little bit better. That's all I got today. If you guys are interested in supporting me, first of all, thank you for listening to this podcast. It means a lot to me. That is one way that I love that people try and support me. Also, I have merchandise. These beanies just came out. I don't know when this is coming out, but either a week or 2 weeks ago is when these came out. I don't know if they're still available. I hope they're not still available. I hope you guys bought these out right away. But yeah, I have merchandise. If you want to support me and what I do, I take all the money that I make from that and put it straight back into the podcast to make videos and more content, more merchandise for you guys out there. So again, if you'd be so kind, buy some merch. I have a donation link in my Anchor bio. And if you'd be so kind to donate some of your money and help me out, that would be awesome. What else am I going to say, Ronan? But if you don't, I understand. You can support me in other ways. Go like my Instagram picture. I consider that support. Go listen to this podcast. There's so many ways to support someone out there. If you can do the littlest thing, it would honestly mean the world to me. Also, by this time, you saw I probably flashed it about 4 or 5 times. I gave away $100. You see that? That's a band. It's ones, but who cares? I did a $100 giveaway by the time this came out. I hope that by February I can do another one of those so I can give back to you guys that support my merch, support this podcast. If you guys didn't win the first time, hey, give it another shot. It's free to enter. I'm not making you pay for it. But so guys, if you guys want more giveaways like that, support me. I'll support you guys right back. As always, I hope you guys are getting through whatever you're going through. Make sure you hit that follow button. I don't know what else I don't know what else I have to say. I hope this was informative. How do I end every episode? Oh yeah, everyone. Hope you're having a good rest of your day. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And as always, y'all just keep on keeping on.